Good evening, and welcome back to another hair-raising episode of our scary stories. I'm your host, inviting you to huddle closer as we leave the safety of our reality and step into the unknown. Tonight, we journey through the foggy streets of London to a forgotten relic of the Victorian era, an ancient theater that still puts on a show when the clock strikes midnight. But beware, dear listeners, for these aren't your usual actors. They're echoes from the past, trapped in an endless performance of a blood-chilling script. So, grab your safety blanket and double-check those locks as we dive into the horrifying tale of the phantasmagoric proscenium. In the hushed corners of London, veiled under a gossamer shroud of twilight, stands an edifice steeped in antiquity and lore. Encrusted with the city's foggy breath, the forgotten theater, an erstwhile jewel of the Victorian era, hunches amidst modern high-rises like a time-worn relic of another epoch. Its silent, foreboding facade whispers tales of the grandeur and opulence of yesteryears, now swallowed by the echo of time. In the heart of this haunting silence, with nothing but the flickering luminescence of a solitary street lamp for company, stands our protagonist, an enigmatic figure known to all as simply the Investigator. They trace the frigid contours of the theater's weather-beaten entrance, their breath hitching in the chilling air. Dressed in a trench coat, they sport a felt fedora, its brim casting a spectral shadow on their keen eyes that have seen the unseen, and heard the voices of the unvoiced. The Investigator's heart throbs like a haunted metronome, their nostrils fill with the musk of age-old plaster, their ears prick to the symphony of the sleeping cityscape, their fingertips ripple with an unsettling electricity. A shiver runs down their spine, sending goosebumps creeping up their arms. This thrill of the unknown, the allure of unraveling the unfathomable, is what drives them. Stepping through the theater's entrance feels akin to passing through a spectral portal, a gateway into a time forgotten. Inside, the air hangs heavy with the muffled notes of phantom sonatas, trapped beneath the pealing grandeur of the once resplendent setting. Crystal chandeliers hang in the dark gloom, their charm swallowed by years of disuse and dust. Rows of red velvet seats, once plush and inviting, now bear the scars of time, revealing their skeletal frames. Despite their decay, there's an uncanny familiarity to them, a sense of disturbing comfort. On stage, heavy curtains of tarnished gold, rich in their decay, hide secrets of centuries. The Investigator senses their silent beckoning, an invitation to uncover the truth that lurks beneath their threadbare beauty. Their gaze drifts to the upper balconies, where they imagine ornately dressed patrons sitting in anticipation of the spectacle, their phantom applause reverberating in the hollow silence. As the Investigator settles into an old, creaking seat, their heart echoes the rhythm of a long-forgotten overture. A chill descends, the air thickens, and their senses sharpen. The whispers grow louder, as if the theater is waking from a centuries-long slumber. An oppressive sense of dread and anticipation hangs heavily, heightening the theater's macabre charm. Tonight, the theater stirs awake for its midnight performance, a grisly spectacle meant for an audience of one. And the Investigator is here, drawn into the theater's spectral pull, ready to witness the echoes of its bloody history and unlock the secrets entombed within its crumbling walls. As the Investigator waits in bated anticipation, the air of the theater shivers with unseen tension. The silence of the ancient hall resonates with an eerie prelude, an introduction to the otherworldly spectacle yet to unfold. And with the ticking of the clock, the first night of their exploration begins, a chilling symphony of the past that will lead them down the path of no return. In the cloak of London's morning fog, the Investigator plunges into the labyrinth of local archives and antique bookshops, a detour into the past to elucidate the theater's obscure history. Through dog-eared newspapers and cracked leather-bound journals, they tread a path back in time, their heart pulsating with anticipation. Stories of the theater begin to unveil, like the yellowing pages of a forgotten tome. Whispers of grandiose openings and gallant parties collide with hushed rumors of bizarre incidents and abrupt disappearances. It was a place of both exquisite revelry and creeping unease, a palace of dreams that, somehow, became a vessel of nightmares. There was one account that stopped the Investigator cold, a story buried in an old news clipping. It spoke of a play premiered on a stormy night, the theater packed with expectant patrons. But the title of the play was purposefully obscured, the author anonymous. Following its premiere, the theater abruptly shuttered its opulent doors, the performances ceased, and its star-studded legacy vanished into the ether of the city's collective memory. The Investigator finds this piece of the puzzle both mystifying and compelling. Why would such a successful venue cancel a play suddenly, ending its own flourishing legacy? What secrets did this cryptic performance hold? The need to unveil this mystery heightens, and an inexplicable urge tugs at their consciousness. As the day weaves into night, the secrets of the theater continue to unfurl. Armed with newfound knowledge and a burning curiosity, the investigator feels an indomitable pull towards the theater. It stands there, shrouded in the dark, like a beast lurking in the shadows, its tale yet to be fully told. As they step back into the embracing gloom of the theater, an eerie hush welcomes them. The opulent seats appear more foreboding, the silent stage more expectant. The investigator shivers as the chill of the night and the thrilling prospect of unearthing the truth intertwines with their senses. They settle into the musty velvet embrace of an aisle seat, eyes locked on the brooding stage, their heart echoing the silence of the theater. The anticipation builds, almost unbearable. Tonight, they would witness the ethereal performance that echoes the theater's troubled history. And though fear knotted in their chest, curiosity pushed them forward. The investigators' watch ticks, seconds stretching into infinity, as the hour of the ghostly play draws near. The musty scent of the theater fills their lungs, the aged wood creaking beneath their touch, their breath slowing to match the deep silence that surrounds them. The theater holds its breath, an ancient beast preparing to reveal its tormented soul. As the clock strikes the midnight hour, the theater's long-buried secret begins to awaken. As the echo of the midnight hour reverberates through the theater, an uncanny chill descends. It ripples through the silent auditorium like an unseen current, causing the investigator's heart to race and skin to prick with anticipation. In the frigid darkness, something stirs. The stage, bathed in shadows, seems to shudder under an unseen weight. Then, as if coaxed by an invisible maestro, the old gold curtains shiver, parting gently to reveal the theater's heart, its hallowed stage. The investigator leans forward, every sense alert, eyes fixed on the looming stage. In the gloom, shapes begin to coalesce. They emerge like a slow-developing photograph, faint at first, then gaining form and substance. Figures materialize on the stage, shimmering outlines bathed in the ghostly glow of a non-existent spotlight. A soft sigh escapes from the investigator, a mix of disbelief and morbid fascination. There, under the gaze of our lone protagonist, the forgotten actors of the theater's past come alive, their otherworldly images illuminating the stage. The phantoms perform their silent tableau, acting out scenes from the theater's grim history. Each phantom plays their part, their ghostly faces contorted with emotions that mirror their historical fate. Tragedy, fear, hope, despair, each sentiment is brought to life, the air throbbing with their intensity. The investigator watches, frozen in their seat, as the chilling drama unfolds. Each apparition tells a piece of the theater's morose history. The grand opening, the jubilant applause, the first ominous occurrence, the hushed whispers of concern, the mounting fear, the mysterious play, the abrupt closure, each event echoed through the spectral performance. The silent theater is filled with the hushed rustle of phantom attire, the echo of muted conversations, the non-existent applause. As the chilling spectacle reaches its climax, a cold breeze ruffles the investigators' hair, causing them to shiver. They can smell the stale scent of dust stirred up by the spectral activity, the faint whiff of ancient perfume, the faded aroma of burnt candles. The haunting images reflected in their wide eyes make their heart hammer in their chest, their breath hitch in their throat. With the spectral performance's final act, the phantoms' images dim, their forms fading away like wisps of smoke carried by the wind. The curtains close gently, the final echoes of the phantom play fading into the thick silence. The investigator remains in their seat, heart pounding, mind swirling with the grim history they've just witnessed. There, in the heart of the once vibrant theater, the investigator's quest takes an eerie turn. What they had considered legends were now a horrific reality. As the chilling performance ends, they realize they are now an audience of one to the nightly spectacles. And they can't help but wonder, with a thrill of fear, what the next night's performance will reveal. In the days that follow, the investigator's life settles into an uncanny rhythm. Each night is a silent vigil in the gloom of the theater, each morning a descent into research and whispered lore. As they unravel the intricate tapestry of the theater's past, they bear witness to its haunting nocturnal tableau, the eerie ensemble growing more vivid with every performance. Tonight, as the bell tolls the midnight hour, the investigators' anticipation prickles their skin, and their heart quickens. The grand curtains shudder before parting, revealing the silent stage. Shapes coalesce from the gloom, the shimmering phantoms emerging, the ethereal glow of their forms casting an otherworldly light. This night, the investigator recognizes the apparitions. Their ethereal ensemble features the forgotten stars of the theater. There's the Grand Diva, her ghostly visage reflecting a profound sorrow that even death hasn't erased. The young ingenue, her eyes wide with an eternal hope. The brooding playwright, his face etched with the agony of his own creation, and many others, their forms shimmering with emotions locked in the past. Each phantom has a tale to tell, a past relived night after night on the ghostly stage. Their silent monologues echo through the theater, filling the air with an unspeakable sadness and chilling terror. The investigator watches, eyes wide, as the apparitions deliver their silent performances, their phantom expressions reflecting the tragic twists of their forgotten lives. In the chill of the night, the investigator is a captive audience, their senses hyper-aware. They can almost hear the echo of a phantom soprano, her voice quivering with sorrow, the resonating silence of a tragedian caught in an eternal moment of loss. They can taste the tang of age-old fear and the bittersweet notes of regret that seem to linger in the stale air. In this eerie dance of shadows and apparitions, the investigator notices a shift in the phantom's performance. Their forms, once oblivious to their audience, now seem to recognize the investigator's presence. Their ghostly eyes meet the investigators, their silent performances growing more intense as though pleading for their tales to be understood, their pasts to be unveiled. As the final act closes, the investigator sits in silence, the phantom's silent pleas echoing in their mind. The weight of their unspoken stories hangs heavily in the air, their ghostly eyes imprinted in the investigator's mind. A shiver of realization crawls down their spine. The phantoms aren't just players in a play but victims of a forgotten tragedy. Their silent pleas speak of unfinished business, an injustice left unaddressed, a history left untold. As they leave the theater, the first rays of dawn painting the London skies, the investigator is more determined than ever. Each phantom is a piece of the puzzle, each performance a stepping stone to the truth. And as the theater slumbers in the breaking day, the investigator knows their investigation has only just begun. As days meld into nights, the investigator's existence seems tied inexorably to the theater. They're drawn into its mournful narrative, a silent observer in the midst of a ghostly recital. Each night brings new revelations, new characters introduced in the ethereal performance that keep them riveted. This particular night, as midnight strikes, the investigator finds their usual seat, its once uninviting texture now a comforting familiarity. As the worn gold curtains part, the stage unveils an ensemble of specters, their ethereal glow shimmering in the murky gloom. Among the apparitions, certain figures stand out, characters whose roles seem integral to the overarching narrative. A mournful playwright, eternally engrossed in his quill and parchment. A scarlet-clad actress, her expressive eyes filled with an endless sorrow. A stern director, his ghostly form emanating an aura of palpable dread. A naive stagehand, his face forever etched with an expression of fear. Each carries an undeniable weight of the past, their performances steeped in a tale of darkness and despair. As the performance unfolds, the investigator feels a chilling connection with these spectral performers. The fear in their eyes, the sadness in their actions, the despair in their ethereal forms, it all resonates within the investigator, each spectral performance acting as a mirror to the theater's haunted past. Tonight, however, something changes. As the investigator watches the sorrowful dance of the ghosts, their performances seem more poignant, more personal. The spectral performers appear to acknowledge the investigator's presence, their acts becoming less of a rehearsed performance and more of a direct engagement. A whisper of dialogue, a gesture, a glance, they all seem to be aimed at the investigator. The air turns colder, and the investigator senses the shift in atmosphere. They could taste the metallic hint of fear, the sharp sting of desperation. The oppressive silence of the theater seems to pulsate with the unspoken communication between them and the spectral performers. An eerie understanding begins to form. The phantoms aren't just replaying their pasts, but seem to be reaching out, trying to involve the investigator in their narrative. As the curtains close on yet another chilling spectacle, the investigator is left in the cold silence of the theater, the spectral performances lingering in their thoughts. They realize they're no longer just a spectator in this horrifying drama, but a participant. The Investigator is now a part of this unfolding narrative, entwined with the theater's haunting past, and on the path to becoming a character in its dreadful history. The Investigator's routine morphs into a haunting waltz, their days engulfed in the theater's specter and the enigma of its ghostly inhabitants. As the spectral performances heighten in intensity and the phantom performers recognize their presence, a peculiar occurrence begins to unfold. Outside the ancient walls of the theater, in the heart of bustling London, the Investigator begins to notice peculiar happenings. Phantom whispers follow them through quiet alleyways, echoes of long-forgotten dialogues winding around their thoughts. Shadows dance in the periphery of their vision, hinting at the ghostly figures that lurk unseen. The world beyond the theater, once filled with the normal hum of city life, now becomes a surreal extension of the theater's haunting realm. A line separating the Investigator's reality and the Phantom's world blurs, as if the haunting melodies of the midnight performances have transcended the boundaries of the theater. In their small, bare apartment, the Investigator's dreams become haunted by the spectral performances. The tragic tales of the ghosts play out in their dreams, each night a haunting replay of the horrors they witness on the theater stage. The Investigator can almost smell the antiquated perfume of the actress, hear the anguished whispers of the playwright, feel the phantom applause of the ghostly audience. Their nights are filled with haunting images, their sleep punctuated by the theater's chilling tale. Despite the fear curling in their gut, the Investigator is drawn back to the theater each night, as if bound by an unseen cord. Each spectral performance further intertwines their fate with the theater's ghosts, pulling them deeper into the narrative. The once forgotten Victorian theater is no longer a dormant stage for the reenactment of the past, but a living entity reaching out to the Investigator, demanding their involvement. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city, the Investigator steps into the theater's chilling embrace. The seats, the stage, the looming curtains, they all seem to breathe with an uncanny life. As they settle into their now familiar seat, a shiver of apprehension ripples through them. The air hangs heavy with an oppressive silence, pregnant with the anticipation of another horrifying performance. As they brace for another night in the theater, the Investigator can't help but feel they're not just watching history unfold, they're slowly becoming a part of it. Haunted by the unfolding narrative, the Investigator embarks on a desperate search for the truth behind the theater's chilling mystery. Guided by the whispers of the past and the specter of the performances, they navigate the silent labyrinth of the theater, descending into its long-forgotten catacombs. In a dust-laden corner, forgotten by time, they discover an old, faded script. Its brittle pages whisper tales of the lost play, the very same performance that marked the theater's sudden demise. Holding their breath, the Investigator leafs through the fragile pages, the worn text unveiling a story far more sinister than they had imagined. The play, it seemed, was not merely a work of fiction, but a coded ritual, a supernatural ceremony masked as a performance. Designed to bring forth a powerful entity from a realm beyond comprehension, the play was a key to a door that should have remained shut. As the Investigator delves deeper into the ominous script, they stumble upon a revelation that sends a chill down their spine. The script hints at the final piece of the ritual, a newcomer, an observer, the final participant necessary to complete the narrative and awaken the powerful entity. Realization sinks into the Investigator like a stone in a silent lake. They are not merely a witness to the past. They are an integral part of the performance, the final key to complete the ancient ritual. The phantoms have not been merely reenacting their past. They've been setting the stage, awaiting the arrival of the Investigator. As the significance of their role dawns upon them, the Investigator feels a knot of fear in their stomach. The script of the play, the phantoms, the theater, it has all been a setup leading to this revelation. Their fate is entwined with the theater's chilling narrative, their presence the final catalyst. Sitting alone in the cold silence of the theater, the Investigator's mind reels. The theater's long-buried secret now lay bare, their role in the haunting narrative unmistakable. The once alluring mystery has transformed into a dreadful reality, a reality they must face with the next fall of the curtain. As the clock ticks closer to the midnight hour, they steel themselves for the role they are destined to play, their fate irrevocably tied to the theater's ghostly stage. With the chilling revelation ringing in their mind, the Investigator finds themselves at a terrifying crossroads. Their intrigue for the supernatural has led them into a deadly performance, one that threatens to awaken a powerful entity. But within the fear, a stubborn determination flickers. They won't be the pawn that concludes this dread-filled drama. As the daylight fades into another cold London evening, the investigator delves deeper into their research, desperate to find a way to disrupt the cycle. Every clue, every whisper of the past takes on a new significance. They scour through historical records, legends, and occult texts, searching for a way to divert the course of the performance. Their former life takes a backseat. The theater and its mystery is now their whole world. They even reach out to past contacts, fellow investigators, historians, occult scholars, hoping to gather insight or advice. The theater, once just a silent relic of a bygone era, is now a ticking time bomb, its upcoming performance a potential gateway to disaster. Each night, however, the theater's pull is irresistible. Despite their mounting fear, the investigator finds themselves drawn to the velvet-covered seats, the anticipation of the midnight performance too potent to ignore. The apparitions continue their eerie spectacle, their phantom eyes acknowledging the investigator's presence with an intensity that sends shivers down their spine. With each passing performance, the apparitions grow more insistent, more urgent. It's as though they sense the investigator's attempts to disrupt their narrative, to alter the impending finale. Their once ethereal forms take on a threatening air, their actions tinged with a dark foreboding. The theater hums with a sinister energy, the scent of aged wood and musty velvet now mixed with a sharp undertone of impending doom. As the curtains close on another chilling performance, the investigator is left alone in the darkened theater, their heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. They will not be an unwitting participant in this horrifying script. If the theater demands a final act, they will give it one, but on their own terms. In the battle between an unsuspecting mortal and the eerie phantoms of the theater, the investigator is determined to emerge victorious. As the cycle of the eerie performances continues, the investigator's desperation grows. The more they attempt to disrupt the narrative, the more vehement the apparitions become. Their chilling presence now stretches beyond the stage, penetrating deeper into the investigator's reality. The once clear boundaries between the theater and the world outside start to blur. Even as they walk the bustling streets of London, they can't shake off the feeling of being watched. Shadowy corners seem to whisper, mimicking the haunting soliloquies of the phantom performers. The line between reality and the supernatural thins, causing unease to take root deep within their heart. Within the theater, the performances intensify. The once ethereal apparitions now carry a solidness to them that's almost real. Their acts, previously echoes of a long-lost past, now begin to incorporate elements of the present. Scenes from the script start to materialize on stage, scenes featuring a new character that bears an uncanny resemblance to the investigator. They watch in growing horror as their phantom doppelganger acts out their initiation into the final act, the entity growing ever closer to being unleashed. Each new act hits the investigator like a bolt of chilling reality, a realization that they are inescapably entwined in this nightmarish script. The grand theater, with its worn seats and aging walls, seems to tighten around them, the stage drawing them in like a spider's web. The smell of old wood and the cold touch of the velvet seats serve as a constant reminder of their impending fate. The theater's chilling narrative now feels like an unshakable destiny, pulling them closer to a horrifying climax. As the penultimate performance ends, a heavy silence descends on the theater. The air is thick with the anticipation of the final act. The investigator, left in the disquieting stillness, feels the weight of the impending doom. They are standing on the precipice of a chilling climax that could unleash a powerful entity into their world. With the faint echo of the last phantom soliloquy still ringing in their ears, the investigator braces themselves for the final act. The theater stands silent, its ghastly tale ready for its grand conclusion. The investigator knows that when the curtain rises next, it will mark the beginning of the end. Despite the mounting fear, they know they must face the finale with courage. For the fate of not just their own but possibly the world now lies within the haunting confines of the theater. The investigator stands at the threshold of the theater as midnight approaches. Each tick of the clock echoes like a drumbeat, building up to the terrifying finale. With a sense of foreboding, they step into the hallowed theater, the silence swallowing them whole. As the unseen hour tolls, the gold curtains shudder in part, revealing the expectant stage. A cold wind, heavy with anticipation, sweeps through the auditorium. The investigator takes a deep breath, tasting the dread hanging in the air. Figures begin to materialize on the stage, their ghostly forms gaining substance. They are the familiar phantom players, the grand diva, the young ingenue, the brooding playwright. But among them is a new figure, a phantom that bears an uncanny resemblance to the investigator. In the eerie silence, the performance commences. Each scene is a chilling reflection of the theater's history and the impending catastrophe. The phantom players perform with a new fervor, their ethereal forms nearly solid in the theater's gloom. The air grows colder as the performance nears its climax, the entity's arrival imminent. With a surge of courage, the investigator steps onto the stage, breaking the narrative's chain. They face the phantom performers, pleading for an end to the cycle. In their eyes, the phantom players seem to pause, their spectral faces reflecting a mix of surprise and understanding. In the heart-stopping silence, the investigator confronts the powerful entity, their voice echoing through the theater. They promise to bring the theater's tormented past to light, to give the phantom players the justice they have long been denied. A deafening silence fills the theater. Then, slowly, the phantom players begin to fade. The diva, the ingenue, the playwright, one by one, they disappear, leaving behind a lingering sense of peace. The investigator stands alone on the stage, the threat of the entity dissolved into nothingness. As the final echoes of the phantom play fade, the investigator walks out of the theater, the first rays of dawn breaking over London. They have a story to tell, a horrifying chapter of the city's history that's waiting to be revealed. The chilling narrative they've lived will serve as a reminder of the forgotten souls that once graced the theater's stage. In the end, the investigator is not just a participant in the theater's terrifying tale, but its savior. They have confronted the fear, brought peace to the tormented phantom players, and prevented a catastrophe from befalling their world. As the theater's grand doors close behind them, they know their task is far from over. They must now tell the theater's tale, finally giving voice to the phantom players who have been silenced for far too long. Well, my friends, as dawn breaks, we close the grand doors of the ancient theater and step back into the world we know, forever touched by the haunting tales of the phantom players. The echoes of their ethereal performances still linger, sending chills down our spines. We've witnessed fear, braved the supernatural, and found an unexpected hero in the phantasmagoric proscenium. Remember, dear listeners, the next time the wind howls through the trees or an unexpected chill runs down your spine, it could be the past, reaching out to tell its story. Until next time, this is your host, wishing you safe travels through the twilight realms of our existence. This is our Scary Stories signing off for tonight.